Okay. Hi everyone. So welcome back again and welcome to my channel. If it's your first time. So this might end up being just a random talk, or just a random kind of a message. Random, I actually have no idea at all how I'm supposed to start off with it. Now there are two groups. One is your family, divine being, and the other one is the family of your ex. Now take it as how it resonates with you. Either you were married to somebody and then you separated, or you were engaged to somebody and you separated. But now, both families have come together and they're trying very hard to bring you two back together. And it's almost like you're being forced to do it. They've made all the preparations, they have made all the celebration things and everything, gatherings, and both group. One family from your ex's side is traditionally cultural. The other side is composed of almost all kinds of cultures from the whole world. And all these people have gathered together to come and celebrate your wedding. What wedding? What I'm saying, what wedding? Because you don't want to get married to your ex, because you're in conflict and you're trying to protest, but nobody is hearing you. Nobody wants to hear you. Nobody wants to listen to your views. And you are like, what am I doing here? Why am I here? And you know very well that you don't want to go about with the procedures. And so you protest by not dressing up in your wedding dress. Instead, you have two cousins, one female, one male. And the female one is in a wedding gown and the male is in a groom suit. It's like they want to have that wedding for themselves, and they've prepared themselves accordingly. It's like the wedding is yours, but they're the ones who are going to appear as the bride and the groom. And then there is a group of relatives of yours. They're all in panic and anxiety because everything is crumbling down and they don't know what to do and they are in panic. You try to console them and tell them that everything will be okay, but deep down you also know that it's not going to be okay, because you know that it will crumble down. But at the same time, you feel sorry for all of them. You feel sorry that they want to force you to marry again your ex, and you feel sorry as well for yourself, and you feel sorry as well for the relatives who are crumbling down, having their towers coming down. and they are fervently doing everything that they could in order to keep what they have, which actually doesn't belong to them. This is a weird thing. How can somebody hold on to something which doesn't belong to them? And how can somebody want something which doesn't belong to them? And how can somebody claim possession of something that does not belong to them? And the person who is the rightful owner is there right in front of them. They know you are there, but they are like, they don't want to see you. They know you are there, and they're just ignoring you. But at the same time, they don't want to ignore you, because they want to use you in order to get to that position. Anyway, you protest and you refuse to go out, and then one of your elder male relatives comes, who is seems like your father's brother, younger brother, comes and starts dragging you out. And you're like, why are you dragging me out? I don't want to go out there. I don't want to marry him. I already made up my mind. Why doesn't anyone hear me? Anyway, and your ex is using your children to try and make it out to everyone. Everyone is just outside and they're all dancing and being merry, celebrating in a wedding which doesn't have a bride. And your uncle is like, if you don't wear your wedding gown, I will just take you out just like that. And look at me, I'm also not dressed up. So it's okay as long as you make your vows and you say it over your dead body. Anyway, such kind of things always happen in real life. Even people are forced to do things which they don't want to do. Some people manage to get away with it, but some people don't. And during such kind of times, a person tends to feel very lonely. They feel like there is no one else other than God. And if you have the faith in you about God, knowing that everything comes from Him and everything is taken by Him, you won't get that much exasperated. But if you do not realize that everything is from God, you will panic and you might end up doing just what they want, thinking that way you will not face all the pressures, psychological pressures, which they are portraying out to you. If anything happens in your life, it's because God has allowed it to happen. That's why it happened, and there's always a blessing behind whatever is happening in your life. Whether it's good or bad, it depends on how you perceive it. Like there's a saint lady. All her life she faced poverty, and she never married. And during her youth years, she faced a lot of problems, a lot of tortures. She was captured. Well, when she was a free woman, one day some men just came and captured her, enslaved her, and sold her somewhere else in another country, far away from her homeland. And her mother and father died while she had been still young, while she was still young. So she was living all alone, and then they came and they stole her. And they enslaved her and sold her somewhere else in another country. And the person who bought her mistreated her very much, but she still persevered and she still kept her faith towards God. And she, no matter how much suffering she suffered, no matter how much pain she suffered, because it was always physical and as well as psychological suffering she was facing, made to work in heavy work, hardships, eating only very little food and sleeping in almost like what do you call the like in animal, like they treated her like an animal, and she used to sleep with the animals. But then one day there was a miracle, and she was praying to God, and a light shone on her, and her owner had come, and he saw this image of hers while she was prostrating and praying to God. And he got scared and he set her free. And she went back to living on her own until old age. But during that time when she was living, during those times, many people came to propose to her, wanting to marry her and partner with her, but she didn't accept anyone at all. She only said that she wanted to live with God. She wanted to live her life just glorifying God and living by God, with God. Everything of hers was for the love of God. And until her last breath, she died all alone. But she died with a very high rank level when it came to being a good worshiper of God. So you see, many bad things can happen to people. Whatever happens is an examination, it's a test from God. And He never gives anyone any burden that they can't handle or they can't carry. And it's up to you to know how to react towards it. Either you react negatively or positively. And sometimes you really don't even need to react. You just show no reaction, and the thing just solves on its own. When you surrender to God, you accept whatever you're living. You accept whatever comes to you. And when you accept whatever comes to you, it becomes easy. Whatever kind of suffering you undergo, it becomes easy. And you don't see the burden of the suffering. Instead, you put out the love of God as being more important than the kind of suffering which you are suffering. And actually, that's how it's meant to be. Human beings are not supposed to love anyone or anything in this world more than how much they love God. Because once you love something else more than how much you love God, you lose your faith and you lose every virtue that you might be holding onto. And then you also lose your blessings. Because if you lose your virtue, it means you will end up having vices. So you lose your blessings. And that's how you manage to live your life. Just by going on having faith with God, knowing that God loves you, knowing that all that which is in alignment with God is also in alignment with you too. And God definitely sends support to you in order for you to persevere the suffering. Because the suffering, if it happens, it means there is a wisdom behind it, that God allowed it to happen. And that's why you are having it. And that's why you are living it. That's why you are experiencing it. Because nothing happens in this world without the consent of God. If God does not give consent for that thing to happen, nothing can happen. Nothing. Nobody can do anything, no matter how much they try. But if it happens, just know it is a test from God. And there is no way that you can fail that test if you have faith towards God. But if you don't have faith towards whatever God sends to you, and sometimes maybe it's not even God who is sending, He just allows the devil or his allies to send it to you, but it's also a test, and you have to pass that test by having strong faith towards God. And that's what will save you from so many things, from so much suffering. And that way you will stay grounded, and that way you can easily fight off any evil thing that comes your way. Because just imagine, there are prophets who suffered a lot. In fact, almost all the prophets who were sent by God, they all suffered. They all suffered. But none of them ever complained about their sufferings in any way. And God always helped them out of their sufferings. And the same applies to any human being on earth. The prophets had the worst sufferings on earth. So, divine beings, just know whatever you're going through, it's always remind yourself that it's always darkest before dawn. And your victory is near. And as long as you have faith in God, God is always with you, no matter what happens to you. Things might seem blurry, things might seem like they're dark and you can't see your way out. But God will always send you help to you and show you the way out. So, never give up. Make your prayers, do your meditation, stay connected to God, and you will have your victory soon. And that's what I'm guided to give you today. Take care, and God bless all of you.